John Dempster was a tailor in the southwest of Scotland. He made clothes and mended them. He was well known as a faithful Covenanter, and the government often ordered that the area near his home should be searched for him. So he had to leave his house and family and live in the nearby woods and caves. He found one good hiding place in the sides of a river called the Black Water. The water must have formed a cave out of the rock. During the summer he was still able to mend clothes as usual. His wife could also bring food for him secretly. One evening his wife brought him food. "There are no soldiers in the area," she said. "Won't you come home just for one night?" So he went home to his children with the intention to return in the morning to his rocky cave. After breakfast and family worship the next morning, John prepared for his return. His wife went to look out for soldiers. A band of soldiers were marching at great speed towards them. So John began to run as fast as he could, and even threw off his shoes to go faster. The men on horseback fired after him as John fled to the nearby wood. There was a patch of boggy ground between him and the wood. When the horses came near, they could go no further. But one soldier did manage to get round the end of the bog with his horse, and caught up with John just as he was scrambling over the wall. John had no way to defend himself, but then he remembered that he had with him the large scissors which were used in cutting cloth when he was making clothes. He lunged at the soldier on horseback who had lifted up his sword to strike him. The scissors caught the horse and it threw the rider on the ground. This gave John time to dart into the wood before the rest of the soldiers arrived. John fled down the steep gorge as fast as he could. The soldiers didn't want to risk following him, so they threw large rocks down after him. But John was not hurt and hid in the bushes on the other side. His wife had been watching. When the soldiers returned, they told her and the children that they had killed her husband in the woods. They enjoyed making the family cry with grief. It was certainly something the soldiers would have done if they could, but they were lying. Then they stole everything they could from the house and destroyed what they didn't want. When the soldiers were gone, the children cried and cried. "Come, my children," said the mother. "Let us go into the wood and seek the bleeding body of your father, who has fallen an honoured witness for Jesus Christ by the hands of these cruel men." Then the mother thought that perhaps the soldiers could be lying. Perhaps her husband was still alive, but in hiding. But the soldiers might also be watching to see if she would lead them to the hiding place without knowing. She could only go when it was dark. In the cave, John worried about his family. Would the soldiers mistreat his wife and children? But he didn't dare move from the cave till it was dark, in case the soldiers were still lying in wait. Just as the family were getting ready to go and find John, they heard footsteps at the door. When they opened it, there was their father. John's wife fainted with the shock. How overjoyed they were to see him, and how thankful to God for keeping him safe. The Bible tells us about heroes of faith. It tells us that they were those of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and caves of the earth. This was like the Covenanters. They lived by faith and trusted God. Even when the time might come that they would be killed for trusting in the Lord Jesus, they could still depend on God. Why don't you ask someone to read to you from Hebrews chapter 11, verses 32 to 40. It shows just how courageous faith in God can be.